barakatuh. The dead were buried, and all what was remaining was the things that the Muslims caught from the disbelievers, the booties and the loots. And the Muslims had different opinions. One group fought the polytheists. So they thought that they were the men to take this booty and loot. The other part of the Muslims, they themselves spent their whole time protecting the Prophet ﷺ and surrounding him so that no enemy could penetrate them and harm the Prophet ﷺ. So they thought that we're entitled, more entitled than anyone else. The third party were themselves the one responsible for gathering what was on the battlefield after it was over. So they thought that we're the one who gathered it, so it should be ours. And Allah Azza wa Jal revealed the Quran stating that it was not of your own doing. So the Prophet ﷺ took 1/5 of it, and this 1/5, known as al-khums, is to be distributed on the poor, the orphans, and those who are cut away from their family through traveling, and so on, and to free the slaves and the prisoners of war. And this 1/5 was to what is called the treasury of Muslims, Bayt al-Mal. And the 4/5 of what was gathered, it was distributed evenly between the Muslims who attended that battle. Of course, the Prophet ﷺ gave the share of few people that did not attend because they had their excuses, and such as Uthman ibn Affan, who was the son-in-law of the Prophet ﷺ, and he was with his wife, the daughter of the Prophet, because she was extremely sick and ill. So he had to stay with her with the permission of the Prophet ﷺ. So he gave him his share because he was ready to go, but he was held back because of her illness. Once this took place, Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, who at the time was a pagan, he saw that the strength of the Muslims is becoming far superior than the non-Muslims. So he pretended among his colleagues to accept Islam after the Battle of Badr. And he led the front of the hypocrites, of al-munafiqeen, who pretended to be Muslims and who were trying their level best to undermine any thing that would add value to Islam and the Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ was left with 70 prisoners of war, and he did not know what to do with them. He knew what to do with 2 of them, An-Nadr ibn al-Harith wa Uqbah ibn Abi Ma'it. These were 2 of the leaders of Quraysh, who went out of their way throughout the past 13 or 14 years to attack the Prophet ﷺ personally and to attack Islam and the Quran. An-Nadr ibn al-Harith, for example, he used to argue with the Prophet and used to follow the Prophet ﷺ wherever he went in Mecca. So whenever he sat with people and he started talking to them and reciting the Quran to them, trying to make them accept Islam, he would come and say, why are you listening to this man? He claims that he has stories from the heavens. Well, I have stories from Persia, from Al-Hira, from all the kingdoms around. He traveled a lot. And now let me tell you some of the Thousand Nights tales and fables. And he kept on distracting people away from the Prophet ﷺ wherever he went. Uqbah ibn Abi Ma'it, he is a person who physically used to attack the Prophet ﷺ. In one incident, the Prophet was prostrating in Mecca to the Kaaba. So he prolonged his prostration in worship. And the the polytheist said, who will go and do something that is nasty to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So Uqba said, I will do that. And he went to a nearby house where they've recently slaughtered a camel, and he took the guts and all the filth that was in that camel, and as the Prophet was prostrating, he threw it on his back and neck. And they started laughing and smiling, and they were having a good time seeing this happening to the Prophet. And all the companions of Allah could not intervene because they were afraid that they will be harmed, until Fatima bint Muhammad, the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ, she was a young child, 7 or 8 years of old, and she removed that from the Prophet ﷺ and cleaned him, swearing at them. How brave that woman was, or that girl was, swearing at them, at the leaders of Mecca, who were fierce and fearful. And when the Prophet ﷺ raised his head, he raised his hands and started praying and supplicating to Allah with a loud voice so that they can hear. And he said, "O Allah, destroy, alayka bi, may you have your wrath on Abu Jahl, Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, Uqbah ibn Abi Mu'ayt." And he named the people. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, the companion of the Prophet ﷺ, said, he named a handful of people that I've seen them all in the well, dead on the day of Badr. Not one single one was spared. Everyone that he supplicated against, he was dead on the battle of Badr. So Uqbah ibn Abi Mu'ayt, he once also, the Prophet was preaching Islam, was calling people to Islam. He came and choked him with his garment. Choked the Prophet with his garment. This man, Uqbah ibn Abi Mu'ayt, until Abu Bakr came and he intervened and released him. That is why when they were caught as prisoners, the Prophet ﷺ instructed his companions to execute them, both. Now, does this fall in line with the Geneva Convention? Of course not. But is anybody applying the Geneva Convention?
No.
Are these treaties respected? Look at Guantanamo. Look at the prisoners of war in all nations and countries. We do not care about conventions and treaties. We care about the Quran and Sunnah. What does the Quran and Sunnah say? The Quran and Sunnah tells us that the leader has the right to execute a prisoner, or to set him free for nothing, or to swap him with another prisoner of ours, or to take ransom from him. This is all up to the Muslim leader. The Prophet ﷺ only executed 2 for their harm. One of the prisoners was Abu Azzah al-Jumahi, who was a poet. And he also used to say a lot of bad things about Islam. And when he was captured, he gave his word to the Prophet ﷺ that he would never ever attack Islam. And the Prophet emphasized that. Are you sure? He said, yes, you have my word. Because poets at that time were more stronger than the media. They were the only a way of transporting
news
and transferring news. So they were like, TV channels and radio stations.
Great effects on the people.
It's an effect beyond imagination. And they were among the richest because they could bring a person up to the heavens by praising him and saying things about him that people would think he's the most generous, the bravest among all. And they can bring a person to the ground by saying untrue things about him, that he's stingy, he's coward, he's so and so. Now, 2 were executed. The remaining 70, the Prophet ﷺ did not know what to do with them. So he, as usual, consulted his companions. So Abu Bakr said, well, I think and I believe that they are our brothers and cousins. And maybe Allah will guide them to Islam one day. So I think that the best thing is that we ask ransom from them. And this hurts them financially, and it's a lesson for them to learn from. So we request money in exchange, and this would add value to us as a beginning nation. We need the financial means to establish our country. So the Prophet ﷺ liked this opinion. Umar ibn Khattab, on the other hand, along with Sa'd ibn Mu'adh and Abdullah ibn Rawaha from the Ansar. Now, Umar and Abu Bakr are from the migrants, so they are their cousins. Umar said, well, I don't think that this is a very sound idea. My advice is to give Aqil ibn Abi Talib, who was a polytheist at the time, to his brother Ali ibn Abi Talib, and to give someone from also Bani Hashim to Hamza, and to give so-and-so to his brother so-and-so, so that they all execute them. And then, when everyone executes his loved one or relative, Quraysh knows that we mean business. And this is nothing to do with feelings. This is our religion, our belief that we believe in. This brings me back a little bit. On the battlefield, we were told that Abu Ubaidah Amr ibn al-Jarrah had to kill his father, because his father tried his level best to kill his son, and he was escaping him. Yet, he had to face him in battle, and he had to kill him before being killed. And also, other companions had to kill their uncles, had to kill their relatives, because they came in order to kill them. One of them was Abdurrahman ibn Abi Bakr, if I may recall correctly. After he embraced Islam, long afterwards, he said, "Oh father, if you see me on the battle of Badr, I was trying to avoid you so that I would not fight you and kill you." So Abu Bakr told him, "Oh my son, if you saw me on the day of Badr, I was trying to locate you so that I would kill you. So don't think that you're merciful because you're avoiding me. I was doing this for the cause of Allah the Almighty." So the Prophet ﷺ was hesitant in accepting which opinion? The opinion to kill the prisoners or to ask for ransom. But I'm afraid that this is all the time we have for today's program. We will know, inshallah, next time we meet what happened and what did the Prophet ﷺ chose. So until then, fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.